Credible Threat Audio.
Credible Threat presents They Really Said That, Episode 9, The Creation of White People.
This is On the Spot Reports with Dora Worthy. On the spot in the year 1681 in the British New World colony of Maryland. We're talking with the Right Honorable 3rd Baron Baltimore, Charles Calvert, proprietor governor of the British colony of Maryland.
Yes, my grandfather, George Calvert, secured the patent for the Maryland colony some 50 years back.
And you have been proprietor governor of Maryland for 20 years now, since 1661. Is that right?
Yes, 20 years, give or take some time doing business back in Britain itself.
And here in the year 1681 in the British colony of Maryland, your assembly is about to pass a significant law. Is that also correct?
Indeed we are. You can hear the assembly working together on it now.
And what's important about this law, Governor Calvert?
Well, we had some serious trouble here recently, Dora. An uprising in Virginia.
Bacon's Rebellion.
Bacon's Rebellion, led by Nathaniel Bacon, that's correct. It threatened the very foundations of our whole enterprise here.
Who was rebelling?
That was a catastrophe. It was the Irish and the Africans.
Irish and Africans together.
Yes, along with some Dutch, French, Turkish, Spanish, Portuguese, even some British. That's what's so terrifying. We couldn't have them all consorting together.
Why not?
Well, remember, we're new here, less than 50 years old, our colony in Maryland, and the wealth to be made from growing tobacco is huge, almost like growing sugar in the West Indies. A whole new world of free land.
Stolen by genocide, of course.
And we needed people to work it.
To extract wealth from it.
Exactly. So we offered workers in Ireland or England or other places in Europe free shipping in exchange for free labor.
Free shipping?
Yes. We ship you over in steerage for free, and you pay us back by working when you get here.
As slaves?
Well, we didn't have slave laws yet. The Europeans were indentured servants.
Indentured servants?
Yes, what you might call term servants, working for a term of time, usually 4 to 7 years.
Without wages?
Without wages. That was the genius of it. There were so many out-of-work peasants all over Europe that people lined up for the chance. But there was a problem.
What problem?
After they arrived, they all got mixed together. The Irish, the Dutch, the Turkish, even the British indentured servants got along with each other, and even with the Africans right next to them.
But the Africans were not being offered work. Africans were being kidnapped from Africa and brought here as slaves.
Yes, but because we didn't have actual slave laws yet, the African slaves and the European indentured servants were working side by side. So the Africans mixed with the Irish and the rest. They worked, slept, lived together. They married each other. They planned nefarious escapes together, sometimes even earned their freedom and became shopkeepers or farmers or even landowners. They could vote. They could own land. They could testify in court.
Africans, along with all the others?
Yes, in some cases. That was the problem. For all their arguments and troubles, day by day, all those serving workers were going through their days and nights as equals. It was nothing but catastrophe waiting to happen. And finally, in 1676, they all consorted together and mounted a nefarious rebellion led by that dastard Nathaniel Bacon.
Were you able to stop Bacon's rebellion?
By the skin of our teeth we did, but only because Bacon himself died of dysentery. But you must understand, they did so outnumber us, Irish and Africans and Dutch and all. It was just a matter of time before they would consort and mount another revolt. We needed a better plan.
What did you do?
We needed to split them apart, set them against one another. So what do you think we did?
What?
The oldest trick in the world, we chose a few and gave them special treats, some special what you might call privileges. Give special status to some, leave others out. They turn on each other in no time.
How did you do that?
Well, the Irish were the hardest. They were used to being slaves in Britain and so forth.
The Irish were slaves in Britain?
Of course. The British were masters of the Irish for centuries. Natural order of things, if you take my meaning. But we needed to give them special status, so we did that by making it harder for the Africans.
How?
Passed some simple laws. A law that Africans couldn't own guns. A law that African servants could be beaten in public, but Christian servants servants could not, a law that Africans couldn't bear witness against others in court. In 1664, we passed a law that African servants could serve durante vita.
Or life.
They could serve for life, exactly. It was working step by step. Irish and Dutch and British servants began to feel lucky that they weren't African. But people kept getting around the rules.
How did they do that?
Irish and Africans and British would still get married. Or some African would turn out to have a contract for a term like everyone else and get free. We tried giving special favors to Christians, but Africans would get themselves baptized Christian. So that's why we needed to revise our laws, and that's the law they're discussing today.
What law is that?
We're revising a law from 1664. That old version outlawed marriage between Africans and others, but today we've changed it to include an important new word.
What word is that?
White.
Just white?
The old law prevented intermarriage between Africans and English freeborn women.
British colony of Maryland, 1664, for deterring such English and freeborn women from such shameful matches.
But the new law will prevent intermarriage between Africans and English or white women.
Colony of Maryland, 1681, for as much diverse freeborn English or white women do intermarry with Africans or slaves.
So, from now on, Africans will be Africans, but British and Irish and Dutch and everyone else will be this new word, white.
Just that one word.
Well, we tried Christian, freeborn, European, British, but that was always a problem, always a hole someone could slip through. White is the word we needed.
Wasn't it used that way before?
Not so much, not in English, and certainly not in law until today, 1681, in Maryland. From now on, all the Dutch and Irish and British and other Europeans will be united as one kind of person, white. Rich, poor, master, servant, you'll all be one thing, white, and Africans will not. Now, Irish and Africans will be different not just by habit, but by law.
So, this is the creation of white people into law.
Just so.
Do you think changing this one little word will make the difference?
It made all the difference in the world.
Governor Gooch, hello, and thank you for joining us. We've just been joined by Sir William Gooch, governor of the British colony of Virginia, joining us from about 50 years later in 1731.
Hello from your future, Governor Calvert.
Hello from your past, Governor Gooch.
I'm here from your future to tell you that creating a race and calling it white was just the thing.
Oh, I'm so glad.
Mind you, it didn't catch on right away from the small colony of Maryland. But in our massive and wealthy colony of Virginia, we followed your lead, and by 10 years later, in 1691, we were passing laws against intermarriage and using the same word you did in Maryland.
British colony of Virginia, 1691. Whatsoever English or other white man or woman shall intermarry with an African, mulatto, or Indian man or woman shall be banished and removed from this dominion forever.
And then we followed with law after law.
Virginia Assembly, 1705. All African, mulatto, and Indian slaves within this dominion shall be held to be real estate. If any slave resist his master and shall happen to be killed in such correction, the master shall be free of all punishment, as if such accident never happened.
And before you knew it, all those poor Irish and poor British workers and the rest that once were the bottom of the barrel, they were a step up from the bottom of the barrel.
How did they take it?
Like a gift. It gave them something to be proud of.
Exactly.
No matter how bad off they were not as bad off as someone else.
African slaves.
Exactly. They could feel superior. No matter their circumstances, by being white, they could feel superior, even supreme.
Even when working for no wages and only making the rich more rich?
Even when working for no wages and only making the rich more rich while they stayed poor as dirt. Giving us all the name white gave them the warm, proud feeling of being a part of the rich class, the master class, the ruling class, right alongside us, without changing anything or paying them anything at all.
Didn't anyone complain?
Of course, but here's the best thing of all. Now we could set these poor Irish and poor British servants to the task of policing and quelling any dissent or rebellion among the Africans. Now you may ask, why would they protect us when we're rich and they're poor? And the answer is because they're white, just like us. And that's what they can cling to forever and ever and ever.
So, poor white people protected rich white people from poor non-white people.
You've got it.
even when the poor white people were practically slaves themselves.
That's the brilliance of it.
Stroke of genius.
So white people were invented by the wealthy
Yes.
for the purpose of turning poor white people into protectors of the wealth of the wealthy.
In a nutshell, yes.
And all the while passing new laws to make Africans slaves for life.
Oh, yes. By my day in 1731, the institution of slavery was well established.
And the white servants stood by and watched?
The white servants demanded it. They needed to feel some distinction between themselves and the African servants. As long as the poor white servants felt white, along with us, they could share our feeling of being supreme, of possessing what you might call white supremacy.
They think of that white supremacy as their freedom.
As long as the serving class are kept profoundly attached to what they consider their white supremacy, the wealth and power of our ruling class are guaranteed.
Just so. Oh, listen. The statute has passed in the assembly.
Congratulations from the future, Charles.
Congratulations, William, from your past.
But governors,
Yes?
Yes?
what if someday all of these servants and slaves and partial slaves come to understand what you've done?
Oh, you mean if they see through our little trick of calling them white?
Yes, if they come to see that white supremacy only protects your wealth and keeps them poor and subservient.
If they see through whiteness? If they see through white supremacy? Well, that would mean
That would mean
an uprising.
revolt.
The overturning of our historic status.
The end of our wealth and privilege.
Well, we wouldn't stand a chance.
You've been listening to The Creation of White People, a presentation of Credible Threat Audio. They really said that. Historical facts and quotes from laws are on public record. They really said those things. Episode 9, The Creation of White People, was written by Edward Bast and directed by Robert Lee, rehearsed and recorded at a safe distance with the voices of Vince Balestri, Rich Hawkins, Edward Bast, and Meg Savlov. For more Credible Threat Audio, go to crediblethreatworks.org. Credible Threat 2021.